And I say, you think Hillary could do this? I don't think so. They'd bring her back home. She wants to go to sleep. And now I hear she wants to run again. Wouldn't that be great? Oh.
I do believe the president heard that she wants to run again from this show, from none other than Mr. Steve Bannon here on set with me, who talked about Hillary Clinton getting back in potentially again. And also you called Bloomberg as well. So Bloomberg's in. Is Hillary going to join?
I think it's inevitable. They had a poll out today that showed Biden at like 28, Bernie 21, Elizabeth Warren in the high teens. It looks like something that's going to get to particularly with Super Tuesday, when Biden drops the nuclear weapon of his money on these folks in these big states, it's going to lead to a brokered convention. Hillary Clinton, I think, is going to come in when it's evident that none of the radical left of the Democratic Party can beat President Trump.
Convention.
A brokered convention. I think Hillary Clinton comes in at the moment that she feels that she can step in and save the Democratic Party and try to convince people that a rematch with President Trump is the best way that they have to try to defeat President Trump. They won't beat him. Right now, there's nobody, including Hillary Clinton, out there that can beat Donald Trump. But they're going to get desperate here because look at tonight. Nobody cares about this debate. This debate's in Los Angeles.
No, they should be watching you.
Well, I'm talking about on MSNBC and CNN and their networks. They're not running around saying this thing is great. They understand these people not just are boring. It's not just about their star quality. It's what they're talking about is so off the mainstream. It's not connecting with people, and they're going to start getting desperate. Remember, their number one thing: Donald Trump is an existential threat to the Democratic Party, to the established order, and to the mainstream media, and they will do anything to take him down and destroy him. Particularly, you saw last night when he's talking about to the people, hey, they're trying to come after you. They're trying to come after me to get to you. We are in this together. And you saw people respond to that. That response of that audience last night for 2 hours, it stood out for hours in what 15 or 17 degree cold is quite remarkable.
What I find remarkable, and you know, we can say this as a couple of Irishmen, or Irishman and an Irish woman. You know, you think about traditional Democrats, right? And I think about my family and how my dad's family was, you know, historically big Irish Catholic family, and you were a Democrat like you were Catholic, like yeah, exactly. It was part of your religion, right? And you know, you know, and if you were lucky enough, you got a job in the union, and so there was a feeling that you always voted blue, and that has changed.
That last night you saw that. He's connected with working class. Listen, it's the reason he won Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Iowa, states they never thought we'd win again, and altogether, because he went and he got, you know, Democrats, blue-collar Democrats to vote for him, and they believe in him, and they're seeing, here's the thing, they're seeing the manifestation of his actions are making their lives better. You know, the Zogby poll today said that, you know, 53% of Democrats think that their party is spending too much time on impeachment instead of getting things done legislatively. They got
that right. Yeah, but it's not just, you know, we talk about Irish Americans. I mean, I look at the African American population right now, and you look at some of the poll numbers there, and he's doing extremely well in a way that you wouldn't really think he would with that particular population, given the media.
Well, no, that's what the immigration policy. Remember, everything was to make sure there wasn't more labor pressure on African Americans and Hispanics. That's why you're seeing the approval rate. I think it's 34% of African Americans approved now by Pew, and 36% of Hispanics, because you're seeing wages starting to rise. The unemployment's at historic lows. Wages starting to rise. That's why I think it's so important. Since they've smeared him in this process, he didn't get to call any witnesses in this trial. And I think this trial will be it's going to be the trial of the century, and the mainstream media is going to be all over it. That's why I think it's so important, not just for his legacy, but for his presidency and his second term. He's got to engage in this. He's got to take them on. He's got to have the whistleblower. We have to have the Bidens in front of the nation and the world. They're going to have to stand and deliver under oath, and we're going to get to the bottom of this. And I think that's going to lead to an exoneration, not just an acquittal, but an exoneration of President Trump.
And that's what I think was of the century.
Definitely the trial of the century.
Wow. You know, a lot of people are worried. Well, you get John Bolton. What is he going to do? What is John Bolton going to say? You know, what is this one going to say? What is that one going to say? What do you say to those concerns?
The president. The call was perfect. He looked at everything that led up to it. This is why the American people hired him. And you just saw the bureaucrats that were testified. This is because that is the managed decline of the United States. This is about the Washington consensus. The Washington Post published the Afghanistan papers last week. $2 trillion, 2,400 dead, tens of thousands wounded. What's that? That's the interagency consensus in 18 years that betrayed our country. That's what betrayed our country.
Which is why.
With Brennan, That's what betrayed our country, not Donald Trump. Donald Trump has stood up. The reason those people cheer for him, it's their sons and daughters that have died in Afghanistan. It's their lives, their kids' lives have been thrown away and their tax dollars. And they understand that Donald Trump is fighting that. That's why we need a trial, a real trial in the Senate with witnesses. So before the world, Donald Trump can get his day in court.
And you call them all. Hey, disruption. Right? It is the decade of disruption, and you're one of the main disruptors there, according to the Wall Street Journal. In fact, one of the most powerful people here in Washington, the power players. Can we see that? So you're in some pretty significant company there, Mr. Bannon.
Well, I got the disrupt. Look, I'm President Trump. As President Trump says, I'm his top student, and that's where the top student got. For being the top student, I got my slot.
Well, listen, we appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And very interesting insight, as always, Steve Bannon. I do want to point out to everyone they can listen to you every day. You can tune into a syndicated radio show and podcast on iTunes. War Room Impeachment, well, that's aptly named. It airs 7 days a week. Forgive me, I was thinking weekdays. No, 7 days a week. You're on the case.
Got to do it.
Steve.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.